All right, so you're here with us on the deep dive because you're the kind of person who wants to be ahead of the curve, right? You want to know what's coming down the pipeline and you want to know fast.
Exactly. We're all about getting to the heart of it.
So let's get right to it then. What if I told you that we're on the verge of a world where death is optional?
Now that sounds like something straight out of science fiction.
It does, doesn't it? But we're actually talking about the predictions of a guy who's got a pretty impressive track record when it comes to seeing the future.
Someone whose insights have consistently proven to be ahead of their time.
We're talking about Ray Kurzweil, and this isn't some random guy on the internet. This is the guy who saw the internet coming, the rise of smartphones, even AI beating chess grandmasters with Deep Blue way back when.
He's not just some futurist with a crystal ball. He's got the credentials to back it up.
For sure. MIT grad, a pioneer in fields like optical character recognition and speech synthesis, even won the National Medal of Technology and Innovation, and now he's a chief engineer over at Google.
Oh, and let's not forget, he's the author of The Singularity is Near, and his new book, The Singularity is Nearer, coming out soon.
Those books lay out some pretty groundbreaking ideas. And his latest prediction, well, he believes that by 2030, just 5 years from now, we could reach a point of functional immortality.
Not just living longer, but actually transcending our biological limits.
We're not talking about some magical fountain of youth. Here, it's all about the convergence of AI biotechnology and nanotechnology and how they're going to revolutionize our biology.
It's about pushing the boundaries of what's possible with human life.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. We're taking that article you sent me, and we're going to dissect Kurzweil's prediction. We're going to try to understand the how, why, the what ifs, the whole shebang.
Peeling back the layers to see what's really going on beneath the surface.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly does Kurzweil mean by this functional immortality? Is it just living to some crazy old age?
It's way more than that. He's not just talking about adding years to our lives. He's talking about a fundamental shift in our relationship with aging and death.
A total paradigm shift.
Exactly. It's about moving beyond the inherent limitations that are kind of built into our biology.
Hacking the system in a way.
You could say that. And a cornerstone of this idea is what he calls the technological singularity, this point where AI surpasses human intelligence and things really start to accelerate.
An explosion of technological advancement.
And that includes the merging of AI with human biology. This is where things get really interesting.
So we're not just hitting triple digits on our birthdays.
Yep.
We're changing the rules of the game entirely.
Yeah.
And the big players in this game are AI, biotech, and nanotech.
Three forces coming together to create something completely new. Think of it like three powerful currents converging.
A perfect storm of innovation.
You could say that. And each of these fields plays a crucial role. AI, with its ability to process unimaginable amounts of data, will be essential for personalized medicine and developing things like advanced brain-computer interfaces.
So AI is like the brains of the operation.
Yeah, it's figuring out the complex puzzles of our biology. Then you've got biotechnology, the tools for actually manipulating and repairing our bodies at the cellular level.
That's where things like gene editing come in, right? CRISPR and all that?
Right on target. CRISPR is a huge part of it. It allows us to precisely edit our genes, potentially correcting the ones that cause aging and disease.
It's like having a molecular scalpel to fix things at the most fundamental level.
A very precise and powerful tool. Then you've got regenerative medicine with stem cells at the forefront. This is about creating healthy new cells, tissues, even whole organs to replace those that are damaged.
It's like giving our bodies the ability to regenerate like some kind of superhero.
Yeah, it's about addressing the root causes of aging and disease. And then there's nanotechnology, the manipulation of matter at an atomic level.
That's the stuff of science fiction tiny robots working inside our bodies.
It's closer to reality than you might think. Imagine microscopic devices patrolling your bloodstream, repairing damage in real time, even enhancing our natural capabilities from within.
It's mind-boggling stuff. So we've got AI figuring things out, biotech fixing things, and nanotech taking things to a whole new level. And this is all connected to this escape velocity of longevity that Kurzweil talks about. What is that exactly?
This is where the exponential nature of technological progress comes into play. Imagine a world where medical advancements are happening so fast that for every year you live, science adds more than a year to your lifespan.
So the longer you live, the faster the pace of discovery gets.
It's kind of snowball effect, but in reverse aging. The faster we develop new therapies, the longer we're around to benefit from the next wave of breakthroughs.
It's a self-perpetuating cycle of extended life. So in a way, the older we get, the further away death gets.
In theory, yes. And this ties directly into his ideas about merging with machines.
Ah, so this is where we get into the really futuristic stuff.
Kurzweil sees a future where humans and technology become increasingly integrated. Think neural implants, creating direct links between our brains and AI systems.
We're talking about plugging our brains into computers.
In a way, yes. These implants could supercharge our cognitive abilities, exponentially boosting our memory, our processing speed, our ability to learn.
So it's not just about living longer, it's about augmenting our minds, becoming something more than human.
And it raises the question of what happens to our consciousness in this scenario. What happens to our sense of self?
This is where the idea of digital immortality comes in, right? Uploading our minds to the cloud.
It's not as simple as just copying and pasting your brain.
Mm.
But the idea is that the intricate patterns of information that make you could potentially be preserved and even exist in a digital realm.
So it's not exactly a soul transfer, but a digital continuation of our consciousness.
And this is where the ethical questions really start to fly. Are we still human in that scenario? What are the implications for our identities, our rights, our very existence?
It's a lot to wrap your head around.
It is. And it's not just about the philosophical questions either. There are very real practical challenges to consider as well.
Like what happens to society if people stop dying?
Exactly. If people are living significantly longer or even indefinitely, we're going to see a population boom unlike anything we've ever experienced. How do we manage resources like food, water, housing, energy with a constantly growing population?
That's a huge problem. And then there's the question of economic inequality. These technologies are going to be expensive, at least at first.
So who gets access to immortality? If it's only the wealthy, we're going to see a whole new kind of social stratification.
The haves and the have-nots, but with life itself on the line.
And what about the impact on work and retirement? Imagine a world where people can work for centuries. What happens to job opportunities for younger generations? What happens to the concept of retirement altogether?
It would fundamentally change the fabric of society as we know it.
So even if we can achieve functional immortality, we have to ask ourselves, is it a good thing? Is it something we even want?
These are questions we need to start grappling with now because the future is coming, whether we're ready for it or not.
Absolutely. We can't just bury our heads in the sand. We need to be having these conversations now so that we can shape the future we want.
So let's take a step back for a second. Kurzweil's got a good track record, but is this functional immortality thing by 2030 a sure bet?
Well, it's important to be realistic. While he's been right about a lot of things, true immortality is a pretty tall order. Even with all the advancements in AI, biotech, and nanotech, there are still some massive hurdles to overcome.
So we should be excited, but also cautious. It's a possibility, not a guarantee.
Exactly. But even if we don't achieve full-blown immortality by 2030, the technologies driving this vision are still going to have a huge impact on our lives.
They're already leading to incredible breakthroughs in healthcare diagnostics and our understanding of the human body.
We're seeing the development of personalized medicine, gene therapies, regenerative treatments, things that were unimaginable just a few decades ago.
So even if we don't conquer death entirely, we're still going to see massive improvements in our health and lifespans.
And who knows, maybe immortality is just a few more breakthroughs away.
It's an exciting time to be alive, that's for sure. So to sum it all up, Ray Kurzweil, a futurist with a pretty amazing track record, believes that AI, biotech, and nanotech are going to converge in a way that allows us to overcome our biological limitations and potentially achieve functional immortality by 2030.
It's a bold prediction, one that relies on some pretty groundbreaking concepts like the technological singularity and the exponential growth of medical advancements.
And it raises a whole host of ethical and societal questions that we need to start thinking about right now.
Questions about resource management, economic inequality, the definition of life itself.
Whether we achieve immortality or not, the journey itself is going to be a wild ride.
And it's going to fundamentally change what it means to be human in the 21st century.
So here's something for you to ponder as you go about your day. If Kurzweil's prediction comes true, what's the one thing about human existence that you think would change the most? And maybe even more importantly, why? What makes that particular thing so vulnerable to disruption in a world where death is no longer a certainty? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the future.
Always a pleasure to explore these mind-bending possibilities with you.